complain. They're going to gripe. I'm not telling you to stop being a decent, courteous, friendly, helpful person. Because I'm talking spiritually here. About the difference in the people you let in and the people you keep out. And what God has dealt with me about is this. I've got to be careful about the people I let in the house. There's some people that I cannot let any further than the porch because they got muddy feet. Now, if somebody comes and knocks on your door and you open the door up and you look down and they got these big old muddy work boots on, you don't say, well, come on in and walk on my white carpet. You decide in your mind right then and right there, this conversation is going to take place with me on this side of the threshold and them dirty boots on my porch. And I've decided spiritually, that's the way it is from now on. If I look at your feet and you got clean feet, and you got the love of God shining in your face, and the Spirit of God overflowing in your heart, come on in. Let's talk. If I open the spiritual door when you and I are encountering one another, and you got your dirty shoes on, you ain't coming in the house. Me and God have worked too hard to clean this house. Something comes on the television that I know I shouldn't be watching. There are television programs with dirty feet. There is music that has dirty feet. There are words that want to get in your ears that have dirty feet. The devil wants to track up and dirty up your house so that it eventually will become a place that even God looks in the window or even God sees when you open the door and he says, I'm not coming in there. Some people might as well live in an outhouse. God is not going to live in an outhouse. Jesus tells us, come on, Brother Mike. Jesus says, I stand at the door and knock. I stand at the door and I knock, hoping that you'll open the door and let me in. And once that door's open and I come in, I'm going to sit down with you and dine with you. And you look at Jesus and you say, well, good, I'm glad you're here. I'll have the vomit ready here in just a moment. It's not what he's there for. It's gross, I know. You look back on 2012 and you can see the piles of vomit. You can see the land of the landfill. You can say, I'm going to keep walking around in that. I'm going to keep eating there. I'm going to keep letting those people come into my house. Now, let me say it again. I don't want anybody to walk away from here saying that I'm saying that there are people out there that we should not fellowship with. This is a spiritual word. It's not about the down and out, the impoverished that knocks on the door and is hungry and needs to be fed. Feed them. This is not about the person that's on the street and says, do you have $3 or $4 you can spare? I haven't eaten. Give it to them. What if they go buy cigarettes with it? What if they do? That's not why I gave it. I'm not talking about you getting a license to walk out here and treat people bad. I am talking about exactly what you know I'm talking about. You're a smart people. Well, most of you. Yeah, most of you. I said it at the beginning of the service that we talk about what our grandparents did. Our grandparents, the generations that populated the church years ago, they knew where to build fences and they knew where to put gates. They knew when to lock the door and they knew when to open the door. They knew when to speak and they knew when to keep quiet. They knew when to stand up and they knew when to remain seated. You say they must have been really smart. No. They were really sensitive. They were sensitive to the unction of the Holy Ghost. They had a reverent fear for God that prepared them and guarded them when they came into the house of God. I'm not saying they did everything right. I'm not saying they were perfect. They had their faults and we have our faults. But if we could take the best of what they were and the best of what we are and combine it, man, we'd have a church for this century. Let me say this before I pray. I was driving up Route 100 the other day, and I looked over at a church. Doesn't even matter what church it was. And I thought about that church for a moment. As I come up the road, I didn't see another church, but I thought of another church. And the third church I thought of was this one. And this is what I thought. If a person came from another planet that knew nothing about us, and I had to lead them through this town, and they began to ask me about the churches. And they said, what do they believe? Well, they believe what they believe. Well, what do they believe? Well, they believe what River of Life believes. Well, what's River of Life? We believe what that one down there believes. Well, why don't y'all just all go to church together? Well, there's too many things we disagree on. Wait, I thought you said you believed the same things. Well, we say we do, but not always. Well, don't you all act the same? Not really. But you believe the same thing. And I said all that to say this. I would have to look at that creature from another world and say, we say we believe the same thing. But I guess really we don't. We're so different. We fuss, we fight, we argue, we compete, we cut one another down. My church is better than your church is better than my church, my preacher's better than your preacher's better than my preacher, our music's better than your music's better than our music. We got a better Sunday school, we got a better children's pastor, we got a better youth pastor. We got a prettier building, we got a bigger parking lot, we got a playground, a zip line. What you got? We got a zip line, we just got in trouble for having a zip line. But I hadn't told you that. I'm dealing with that. Okay. Stand with me. The old cross killed men. The new cross condemns men. The old cross, I guess, was an emblem of shame, and the new cross is just a piece of jewelry. But I'm telling you, I still believe in the cross. And when I look at the cross, I am reminded. I'm reminded of the price that was paid, the love that God has, and how important it is if that Jesus that died upon that cross is going to live in this house. It's going to have to be a clean house. Things are going to have to be in order. And if things are going to be in order, I'm going to have to be careful who I let in and who I keep out. It's time to start looking at the feet of the people that are influencing you. If you want 2013 to be different, if you want it to be better, and you want it to be blessed, it begins with you.